Our communication department at UNCG is special. It's different than other communication departments. We have courses that are designed to bring community together, but also to teach students the importance of community. Communities know the things that they need. They don't need to be told how to save themselves. They don't need to be told, oh, this is what you should do. They don't need more policing. They don't need more laws. They don't need more money thrown at them. What they need is connection with other community members.
What's particularly unique about the grant and about the projects involved in the grant is that the focus is how communication research can enhance community action. Some of the specific communication components involved in these projects involve the methods of going about community action. In particular, the democratic methods of communication, such as deep dialogues, such as storytelling, and the ability to connect empathetically with others for productive social causes. The stipulation of the overall grant was that we would find 5 community partners, and we tried to choose community organizations across a broad range of projects so that we wouldn't overly focus on just one particular community issue. But there is one thread that runs throughout all of the organizations and all of these diverse causes, and that is the theme of social justice. Really what we're after is a more long-term sustainability of these projects. Then the community organizations can act more independently so that their community projects can be more effective and maximize the involvement of all the stakeholders in the community. Of course, the big surprise is that soon after we got the grant, which was in the fall of 2019, the pandemic hit just a few months later. So really what the pandemic did is emphasize how central communication issues are to the entire process of community action and achieving social justice.
One of the things that has been noticed in studies of communities in recent decades has been this ongoing loss of trust. And this idea of having a dialogue with people who may be different from you, who may come from a different point of view than you, but having a dialogue or a conversation with somebody about things that matter was, I think, a really good thing to do to start to rebuild some of that trust. The 3 topics for the democracy tables were voting, tied to the November 2020 election, policing, really tied to what's going on in our broader country and still going on today. And the third was housing equity, which has been a real issue in Greensboro for a very long time. And what we were trying to do was get people to talk at a deeper level about community concerns, about human concerns, about things we could come together perhaps to change or to start the process of change. The questions we used to facilitate these conversations were designed to kind of elicit honest and deeper responses from people. Some of them were very strong in their points of view, drawn from experience, and this is one of the things that's part of the setup. We try to get them to tell their stories rather than come up with arguments. When a young black male starts talking from the point of view of fear for his life in a situation in which he did nothing wrong, he didn't even get pulled over for speeding, that just brings empathy into the room in a snap. It really does. Everybody's listening carefully and closely and respectfully, and nobody can argue with that experience. It's very real and it's very tangible, and it's been all over our news. Of course, we did all this in the midst of the George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, all that stuff emerging into our culture in the middle of a pandemic, and some of the topics we talked about were very intense in that way. There is a future for this kind of conversation in communities. I believe that we can carry this kind of spirit forward toward bridging our differences.
A learning circle is a free study group for people taking online courses together. You don't have an expert in the group, just a facilitator that keeps conversations flowing. They use a peer-based model, so people come together, they decide how to cover the materials, they help each other with questions, they share learning resources, learning strategies. To bring learning circles to Greensboro, we have a partnership with the Greensboro Public Library, but also Peer-to-Peer University, and it's a collaboration that really works. The university is bringing the research part, so we're really trying to understand the types of interactions that maximize outcomes in the learning circles. The library brings a knowledge of the people from Greensboro, their needs, what types of topics will resonate with them. And Peer-to-Peer University has 7 years of experience really helping libraries inside the United States and outside the United States really run this program. So it was a winning partnership, really. Over the years studying this project, we see that learners, they get a basic understanding of that topic that sometimes enables them then to enroll in a college class about the topic, and they at least have an idea of what is going on. You have people who are more able to be self-directed learners. They can set their own goals, find relevant information, adapt learning strategies. These are all characteristics also of resilient individuals. So you have in your community people who are more able to adapt in the face of challenge.
Cultivating community resilience is intricately connected to food because we have to eat every day. Food is something that is a vital part to our existence, and that's not going to change. So if we're going to build strong communities and we're going to build strong people in those communities, food is an incredibly important part of that. Over the last 10 years, the concept of food insecurity has become much more common, or at least we talk about it more. And food insecurity basically means that people don't have the financial access or the physical access to the food that they need. So they can't afford food and they can't easily find it. The Green for Greens project is really designed to build some local financial infrastructure so that we can, at a local level, support a SNAP doubling program. And so SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's what a lot of people think of as food stamps. So if someone has $500 in SNAP benefits that they get every month, they could come here to the market and turn that into $1,000 simply through the doubling program. And so where does that extra money come from? A lot of it comes from local donations from the community. So sometimes what we do is find an initial seed pot of money, then we'll bring that back to the market and use that as a matching campaign and ask folks from here at the corner market and the People's Market to donate and match that $5,000 so that we can raise it up to $10,000. When it comes to how we responded to COVID, we got fairly lucky in the beginning, and I think part of that was because we instituted some good communication practices up front. One of the things that we did was we started an advanced order and drive-through pickup model, and it's a way for people to stay in touch with vendors when they were really concerned about shopping in person. So they could place an order ahead of time and then they could pick up everything just through a drive-through. I would say that the Green for Greens program is definitely a success because at the very least, we've tested the community's ability to support itself and to support the people who are often most vulnerable in our communities.
This is one of the areas in Greensboro where food access, food justice is a very much a challenge. And so 𝗶𝗄𝗖 wanted to bring an urban farm so that people can come here and grow their food. We chose this location because the pastor, Lisa Caldwell, she wanted to transform the unused lawn space of the church to do the community farm. But before we settled on this land, we struggled to find a location because a lot of places in southeast Greensboro, the soil is contaminated from a previous industrial times. So everybody should have right to healthy environment, healthy air, healthy soil, healthy water, healthy food. So that justice piece is very important. So this is completely run by volunteers. And so that has been a challenge, but also it's been very interesting. There are regular volunteers who just saw what we are doing and then they started coming. The idea is that people would come out here, the community members come out here and get to know each other. And that's really the key to creating relationships and creating trust. In fact, the other day when I was volunteering, the police officer with Greensboro Police Department, she works with this community and she stopped by to see what we are doing and she wanted to learn. I learned from her that this area is one of the highest crime areas in Greensboro. So she wants people to get to know each other so that when you know someone, you're not likely to harm them. You're not likely to steal from them. You are likely to watch out for each other. Was this a successful project? It is successful in the sense that we started this farm in February. And if you look around, it's amazing that we have this, we have done this much with. But again, the sustainability of this farm is yet to be seen. And we're working to make sure that this farm continues and make sure that we always work on involving neighbors and church members and others to come out here and just anyone who wants to be part of this farm.
One of the draws of this city is that it is diverse. It's got a lot of people, of course, who have grown up here, white, African American, and then in the last 20, 30 years, a lot of immigrants have also come to this city. But historically, being a city in the South, it's not surprising that there has been a lot of racial challenges and difficulties and tensions, and those didn't just surface suddenly. They've been around for a very long time. The Beloved Community Center is this great organization that brings together people in a grassroots way to make change in the community. They are the central player in addressing social justice. We'd had a long history actually of working together on the truth and reconciliation process here related to the Greensboro massacre. They have done so many amazing things, and yet because people with the Beloved Community Center are activists at heart, spending the time to document and archive and strategize about communication had not been at the top of their priority list. So the grant was useful in funding a full-time intern for a full year to work on those communication processes. The Beloved Community Center is now poising itself to roll out a statewide truth, healing, and justice process, recognizing that communities everywhere struggle with some issue in their community presently that relates to some historical event or pattern. And so, preparing for that rollout, we're trying to document now what are the processes that work in terms of communicating with people so that they come together to organize collectively. At the same time, and this is really important, the Beloved Community Center brings to the students and the faculty their expertise and their knowledge in communication, in community organizing, and in all of these things that we're doing already. So their education comes full circle. I am beyond proud and delighted that we have been a part with the community in making the world a little bit more just. That is valuable, important, and gratifying work. I think anybody who does the same, working with organizations that are struggling to meet the needs of their community, is going to feel the same gratification. And I think that is the highest calling that the communication studies discipline has.